Cheers and good morning, my friends. How are you doing today? Let's get right into it, shall we? Okay, so today's blend is going to draw fortune, drawing different fortunes. As sirens are going by in the background, I hope everybody is okay. So, we're going to start with cinnamon. Cinnamon is good for adding potency to whatever it is that we're going to do. So, we're going to bond potency. And then we're going to add a little bit of bloodroot, which adds the connection between different types of energies. So, in this case, fortunate outcomes is what we're going after. Not so much wealth magic, but you could, minding your allergies, of course, go and group this based on, you could dress a green candle with this or dress a prosperity candle with this. But the idea is that the spell that you add this to will go in your favor, right? And so we were working with the bloodroot and the golden seal a little bit earlier this week with the connection to the ancestors, with the bonding of spirit, right, with the bloodroot, and with golden seal the week before on Saturday, right, fixing things into place. So with this, we're just going to fix the energies in place with those things that we're doing. And so I'm not going to pour this. I'll use the teaspoons. That's what they're there for. So 2 pieces of bloodroot, about a quarter, or I'd say that's about a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And we'll do a tablespoon of golden seal. So the reason why so much golden seal in this case is because, again, you can draw fortune with it. You can draw good, favorable outcomes to your work, right? So if you add this spell into the base around the candle, you could draw the fortune to it. You can draw your spirits to it. You can draw a spirit of fortune to yourself. But in this blend, it's to ensure that good things occur, right? And again, you want to mind your allergies when it comes to the application of flying piece of bloodroot. There we go. Good thing it's not a food product. Yeah. Yeah, don't eat this. Don't consume this. This is not meant for human consumption. And for those of you that are like worried about your allergies when it comes to things like bloodroot, things like golden seal and that sort of thing, do check to make sure that you aren't allergic to these things when you go to use them, if you go to use them. So when you grind today's blend down, you want to think about, what's the fortune that I can attract? What are the good things in my life that I can go for? Not so much focusing on the negatives that have occurred over the years for the bad sort of things that have gone in your life, right? How do you overcome them? And so overcoming them in a good way, overcoming the different connections of energy so that no matter what has happened to you, it occurs in a fortunate manner. That's what today's blend is about. And so breaking down the bloodroot does take a bit of time because these are the whole roots. You can use a microplane for them. They're just really tiny. So it's a little bit more difficult to, there we go, get everything all going together as one. So with that being said, this is going to take a good little bit of time. So I'll put this aside for now, and I will go back to grinding that in just a minute while I finish talking. So as you're thinking about the different applications of your spells, right, the layering of the effect, and like with yesterday, the cleansing water for the right in the afternoon, right, you could add the cleansing water to wash your talisman, the talisman before you use it, and then you can use this sort of a blend to seal good fortune to it, right? You can mix those two elements together and you can make a different type of ingredient blend. You can use that as the base for a potion, right? Potions being liquid mediums that you use water for. Oils, of course, you're using a natural oil for it. But with the water bases, you can use them as a wash. You can use them for a base for other work that you do. It just depends on what it is that you're trying to achieve, right? Again, it goes to, do you need this now or do you need this later? And if you don't need it now, well, at least you'll know how to do it later, right? But it's fortune. So having something that moves you in your direction, bonding the many different energies with the potency and the golden seal together as one line of thought, right, is the bloodroot. That's the thing that's holding everything together. So when you use the blood root, you can use it in a bunch of different ways, which I'm demonstrating with these different types of spells, that you have those types of energies that you have on lockdown. Like, you understand what these energies are going to do, you know how they're going to manifest in your craft, and you know that from your craft, you're going to be able to develop something deeper. And specifically, as a result of those things, go as deep as you want to down those various herbal rabbit holes when it comes to the application and the reapplication of separate ingredients, right? So traditional ingredients would use them in specific set ways. Non-traditional ingredients would apply them in the manner of which I'm doing. They're trying to find the purpose of what those ingredients are going to do. They're going to find the ingredients, the application of them. And by putting those two things together, you get the outcome chemically that you're looking for when it comes to the spell that you're about to cast. Now, how this works out really interesting is that if you go and you look up the different planetary arrangements of your ingredients, you look to see, well, what ingredients are these corresponding to? What are the higher applications of this? And then that's where you get the high magic involvement, right? You can open up the different planetary gates for the different ingredients, right? And you can use Cunningham's book for doing that, right? You can use Culpepper's book for doing that, right? If you want to go track down source material, Culpepper's Herbal talks about the planetary virtues of every plant that he's got listed in there, right? Difficult to read because it's all written in, Old English, so it's got the S instead of the F, or the F symbol instead of the S. But the way that it works, as you do that sort of thing, as you call on the planetary virtues, you can look to say, okay, well, what hours of the day do I want to cultivate this? What time of the year do I want to cultivate this, right? And so if you can go through and you can do that, then you have the makings of really crazy sorcery, right? It's because, there's the passive form of astrology where you're just subject to whatever's going on in the stars. And then there's active astrology when you're actively seeking out specific times and days of what's going on the planet. And you want to tilt those currents. You want to just open those currents just a little bit more and yield them into your favor, into your spells, into your processes, right? You're pulling on those dimensional energies, and that's what those talismans are for. That's why you focus so much on doing the math right the first time, so that way you can just plug and play every day of the week, right? What day of the week do these properties run? What time of day are they going to be most active, right? And so you start at dawn on that day. You start at sunset. Excuse me. Sunset on that day. And so as you go through and you're doing these kinds of things, you're looking at how are these operational mechanics going? Do you want to do the Tuesday hours for that planet, or do you want to do the Wednesday hours for that planet? Do you want to wait around till Friday and actually do it? Or do you want to think about, all right, well, today's being Tuesday, right? If I want to cast the spell on Friday, do I want to use the same hour of the day, right? Do I want to say, okay, well, I'm going to do this at 11 a.m. on Friday? Or do you want to use any energy that's available, right? You can open up whatever gate you want to, but focusing it down very specifically in your timing to get those energies just so. That's not a bad thing to do. It takes time. It takes a little bit of work. It takes a little bit of math. But that's what they're all about talking about when it comes to old school witchcraft, or rather old school high magic, is making sure that your energies are in alignment to the things that are going on outside in the world so that you can plot and plan them accordingly. And then you can use those websites like planetstoday.com. I love that website because it tells you the relationship of the Earth, the Sun, to the other planets. So if you're looking at the celestial map of the universe, the Sun is in the center. And then Earth is wherever it's at for its time of year. And then in relation to that, you look at the different planets that you're pulling energies from. Where are they in relation to the Earth and the Sun, right? Since we use East as our north point, as the rising sun, we're tapping into the line of flow from the Earth, or from the Sun into the Earth. That is our starting point, okay? Well, that doesn't always become the starting point so much as it is the starting point when you're doing solar magic. Wherever the planets are in relation to the Earth, that is where the starting point is for that planet, for that gate. So you would line it up to the southwest, you would line it up to the south, southwest, southeast, so wherever it is on that map that is occurring in live time celestial application. And so in the chat here, I'm going to actually drop the link to that website so that way you get the opportunity to go and study that map. So you get an exact view of what I'm talking about. So that way there is no confusion on that. So you find out where we're at, and then you use that as a base for your own work. So the planets today, we're going to go to the home button, make sure I get the link. All right. Let's see. Copy that. We're going to paste this. So this way, again, it's the link for this is in the description. So when you're using the planets today and you're looking at the map of where everything is located, right? You're looking at the astrological placement of these things. You're looking at the time of the year in which we're doing this thing. The hours of the day also are varied. Like I said, it starts at dawn, right? Or it starts at whatever point of rising that planet occurs at. This is why you need to know celestial mechanics. This is why understanding the location of the star system in relation to the Earth and in relation to us on the Earth kind of matters, because if it's on the other side of the Earth, then we have to compensate with the energy having to move through the Earth in order to get to us, right? That's why we generally only do astrological stuff that's overhead during that time of the year. So that way it's just an easier way to pull that energy down. We don't have to compensate through a giant ball of molten iron that we're Earth, right? So with that being the case, how do you do it? Well, you can loop energy around and bounce it off the planets. You can make it hit the moon. You can make it hit the, you can channel that energy from those celestial bodies through the light of the sun, and you can do solar magic with it. And you can start it off in the east and you draw it to yourself using light, using time, using your mind. You can do it using your spirit, right? Darkness in this case would be the separation of space. It would be allowing, if you use that, you can compress. Well, it's dark in the space of void of the space, right? There's no energy there. There is no connection. So if you find what's the shadow there and what the shadow is here, you can fold that together so it's one shadow, and then you've got a doorway, and through that which you can conjure. So I hope this has gotten a little bit more in depth as far as like the use of time and the applications of it. Where in something like the golden seal, the bloodroot, and the cinnamon act as a means to draw fortune. How does fortune translate to those planetary energies? How does fortune translate to these high celestial energies? Again, it gets things to go in your favor. It bonds the manifold energies into one force when you use the bloodroot. So as you're channeling those energies, as you open the gates, as you use those different things, you've got that through line of energy that moves into the intermediary of your ingredients. So that way, what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're doing it all comes through those things that you're intentionally pulling on. You're calling on the spirit of the bloodroot that was a living plant. You're calling on the spirit of the golden seal. You're calling upon the cinnamon tree, right? You're doing all of these things in order to be able to get a single line of flow from wherever outside in the creation to the work in miniature that you're doing for your creation. What is it that you're creating for this planet? What energy are you bringing into this world that allows you to connect to those celestial energies? And this is a means by which you can do that. This is a means by which you can channel that. And the deeper you go with it, the more energy that it can produce. And so the better that you understand what ingredients you're working with, the deeper those relationships occur, the more manifestation you'll be able to channel through and get when it comes to, well, I need to draw prosperity. Well, in this case, you would draw it on Jupiter. You would draw it on the sun. You would draw it on the earth, right? So you would focus on Jupiter for the wealth. You would do Venus for the life that you want to have. You would do the earth for the physical expression of that wealth. Then you would use the golden seal. Then you would use the cinnamon for the potency behind it. And there you have your spell. So I hope that helps explain a little bit more about the separate energies, ways that you can cultivate them into a single form, ways that you can think about using them in the high celestial thoughts to the day-to-day thoughts. Like you need to get more wealth, right? When you do something like that, where you could do a wealth spell at any hour on Jupiter or Venus, right? You can use golden seal and bloodroot, cinnamon. You could use sassafras as a base for those things. So that way what you're doing, and again, you can just make the spell built upon strong mechanics. So as long as you understand how the relationship of those ingredients are going to work together, then you can look at the planetary aspect, then you can look at the astrological aspect, and then you look towards where these things are actually located. So you pull on those specific energies from those specific places around the earth, right? And again, this can get you into a study of the feng shui, right? The different directions of fate manipulation. So, and the different lines of energy flow based on what you have around your space. So with that, my friends, I'm going to say have a wonderful day, and I will see you at 2 p.m. for the Right in the Afternoon. Until then, remember, don't be evil. All right, bye for now, y'all.